On today's Two on Your Side Town Hall, the owners of a deteriorating grain elevator and the city continue to point fingers at each other. We're going to talk about that controversy with a special guest. Plus, a few days past Christmas and a day ahead of New Year's Eve, we examine the COVID picture here in Western New York as far as hospitalizations and infections. And speaking of New Year's, we're going to hear from the Independent Health Foundation about their plans for tomorrow night's family-friendly event, First Night Buffalo. Thanks so much for being here for the Town Hall. I'm Kate Welsh-Schofer. So the number to text your comments or questions, it's right there at the bottom of your screen. It's 849-2220, and you can reach out anytime to talk about things you'd like to see here on the Town Hall. And we've got a few different things to talk about tonight, including a few stories related to the new year. But we want to start with a story. It's gotten a lot of comments from you over the past few weeks. We're talking about that old grain elevator near Buffalo's waterfront that lost part of a wall during that windstorm earlier this month. And we've got some new reporting on the whole debate over whether to knock it down or to preserve it. And that's thanks to the work of our nonprofit partners over at Investigative Post. You can read more about this over at investigativepost.org. But right now, you can hear more about it from reporter Geoff Kelly, who joins us live tonight. And first, Geoff, I just want to catch everybody up here that things with this are kind of in a holding pattern right now. The latest ruling from a judge today, not much of an update. It's just saying that a temporary restraining order on the demolition is going to remain in effect at least until Monday, when a fact-finding hearing is scheduled. We're going to talk about that in a second as well. But looking further into why this is in court in the first place, preservationists blame the owner of the building, ADM, for allowing the building to deteriorate. The company blames the city for not doing anything about it. So everyone pointing fingers at everyone else. What have you been able to learn about the facts of this case and kind of cut through that back and forth?
Well, one of the interesting things that I've learned and that we reported on today is that the city, the preservationists make this argument too, that, they blame the company, which has owned the building for 28 years and its maintenance or lack thereof has led it to deteriorate as it has and led to the condition that led to the collapse. But the city is complicit too, say preservationists, because they have an inspections department. They have the force of law behind them. They can compel a building owner to address concerns that the company itself brought up several times, raised with the city when it asked in previous years for demolition permits. They outlined the problems. The city said no to the demolition permits, but they didn't make the company address the problems the company itself had identified.
Yeah, and if the building has indeed been deteriorating for all of these years, as you said, has the city ever done anything as far as citing the company for any violations? It's nearly 3 decades, or have they just everyone's just kind of been real quiet and not doing anything?
It's 28 years. The city has never cited ADM for a violation. They've never brought them into housing court. In fact, the commissioner of inspections told me only once has he sent inspectors in that 28 years, only once has he sent inspectors to look at the property. And that was last year when ADM sought an emergency demolition permit, which the commissioner denied.
So we know now that there's this fact-finding hearing scheduled for Monday before anything could be done to the structure. What do we know about that process? What's involved in it? How long could something like that go on? And then what else comes next after that?
Well, it sounds as if what the judge wants to determine is whether the commissioner had, and I'm quoting here, a rational basis for issuing the emergency demolition order, which ADM sought. It's really in the commissioner's domain to decide whether this is a public danger. But the judge is going to ask, what did you base that decision on? And preservationists are going to say insufficient information or incorrect information. ADM is going to say, well, no, in fact, this is accurate information. It's a public danger, and there's nothing we can do with the building. Please let us knock it down.
Yeah, I know at one point the judge had also said something along the lines of, either you guys figure it out or I'll figure it out for you. But overall, I wanted to ask you this, because it seems like the way that all this unfolded, it kind of seems like nobody really cared because they didn't have to until a windstorm blew down a wall. We mentioned ADM owning the building since 1993. wanting to take it down multiple times. Now you also have a big developer like Douglas Jamal getting involved in the fight, standing alongside the preservationists. Is it fair to say that that storm really kind of did both sides a favor here as far as bringing some immediacy to deciding what is the future of this grain elevator going to be.
Well, certainly it brings, as you said, it brings things to a head. A decision must be made. And frequently, perhaps too frequently, that is the case in Buffalo with its population of aging and beautiful buildings, which oftentimes are not cared for as well as they should be, as well as we wish, and nothing is done either by the city inspections department or by the owner who is trying to, minimize their expenses until something forces a crisis like a windstorm that makes a wall collapse.
Well, people have a lot of opinions on this. They're following it very closely. We have been joined by Geoff Kelly, a reporter with our nonprofit partners at Investigative Post. Again, be sure to read his full report on this issue up to date at investigativepost.org. Geoff, as always, great to have you here. Thanks for joining us, and Happy New Year.
My pleasure. Happy New Year to you, too.
Thanks so much.